Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm your host for this evening, Steve, aka Negative Ned. Frank is away on business, so do our best to hold down the fort for him while he's away. This is the show where we talk about the Patriots, the Bruins, the Celtics, and Red Sox. Get you guys all caught up to speed on the goings on, and get you guys to hopefully join us and chime in uh, your thoughts. Uh, Give me a half a second here to post the link for everybody so you guys can join the show. We have a lot to talk about. We have the Red Sox and their incredible hot streak, the trade deadline. We have also Patriots training camp news. We have a tiny bit of Bruins news. And we have some Jaylen Brown news from his introductory press conference with the 76ers. A lot to get to, so let's get things kicked off. Let's talk about the hottest team in baseball right now, the Red Sox, and their most recent current winning streak, which is at 7 games. They are on an unbelievable heater over the last month and a couple weeks. They have put themselves in second place in the wild card race. They are 1 game behind the Yankees for second place in the division, 1 game behind the Yankees for the first wild card spot. They are playing unreal. If anybody remembers when they were in last place, how bad they were and how they were losing, I had said that I was actively rooting for them to lose. I reserve the right to change course based on what I've seen. I think that they've been amazing. It remains to be seen whether they can keep this up. They do have a habit of falling flat later on in August and September. I don't think that would be the case unless they had more major injuries, and they would have to have like Sonny Gray, and a couple guys in the lineup go down for weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks, for that to happen. So I have to give them a half an ounce of credit for what they've done. They've been incredible. They've won 9 straight series, which is the second most in franchise history. They've won 30 of their last 35 games. They're 30-5. That's the best in Major League Baseball since June 25th. They have 12 straight wins against division-leading teams, and that would be including Tampa Bay Devil Rays, the Dodgers last weekend, and the White Sox. They took the first 2. So that's 3, 7. That's 9. I'm missing somebody. I'm drawing a blank, but you guys get the idea. They have put themselves in a playoff spot. These guys are on hot streaks. Willie Abreu leads the American League in home runs since the All-Star break with 9. Ceddanne Rafaela is third since the All-Star break with 7. He just won Player of the Week last week. He had 419 with 5 homers, 11 RBIs, 2 doubles, 2 stolen bases in 7 games. He's been ridiculously on fire. He's been consistent all year. I think he's hitting 289 now on the year. He's been very good at the plate, not striking out as much. He's been way more selective. He's done a good job. I have to give him a ton of credit. He was striking out a lot, like everybody else earlier in the year, but he's fixed a lot of what was ailing him earlier. You have to excuse me because it's hot. But even Jaron Duran, who I thought would have been traded at the deadline for sure, given that he was hitting under 200 and given his antics with the fans over the last few months, flipping the fans off and, arguing with them and so forth. His last 12 games, he has hit 341 with 2 homers and 6 RBI. He's hitting 284 for the season with runners in scoring position. I'll take that. He's been hitting under 200 most of the year, but at least with runners in scoring position, he's hitting over 280. That's pretty damn good. He hit a home run. He hit a home run 2 nights ago in the first inning against the White Sox. And after the game, he said that he thought he was going to be released. So there was definitely some things weighing on him between all the trade talk and all the antics and all the stuff. Hopefully he can calm down a little bit and, won't let that stuff get to him the rest of the way. He's, I wasn't really in favor of trading him only because, he can steal on a fly ball in the outfield. If he's on third, he can score. I know last week he got mad at Wilson Contreras for not tagging up on a shallow fly ball, but it was the right call between him and the third base coach. I've hopped on them for, sending these guys and getting them thrown out by 500 miles. I don't know what Duran was looking at there, but, smart play there. I'm tired of seeing the slow guys getting thrown out, so he should have kept his mouth shut there. Hopefully, now that he knows he's probably still going to be here, he doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff anymore. But listen, they've been going crazy, the Red Sox. Last week when we were on, I said that Sonny Gray needed to win the game that night against Oakland, and he came through. He pitched 7 innings, gave up 4 runs, got the W, which was not really his best outing, but they came through and gave him some run support and saves the bullpen by him going 7 innings, which is huge. And they ended up taking 3 out of 4 against Oakland. That's big, and that allowed them to go into Dodger Stadium and sweep them. I definitely did not have that on my bingo card. I thought they would have been lucky to win 1 out of the 3, and I don't even know in my predictions if I thought they were going to get swept. I'd have to go. We'll look at that later. But impressive. I would say impressive how they did that. The first game, they come from behind. They lose a 4-3. They get 5 runs in the 7th. Rafaela hits a 2-run homer to give him a lead, and to get the 9-3, they get the 9-4 win. Brian Bale, 4 innings of shutout ball in relief. He's found his niche. He's found his role. If he's not happy with it, then I don't know what to tell him. He seems to be doing okay. I would leave him right where he is. I wouldn't bother trying to start him anymore. He's had multiple outings now where he's pitched, 3-4 innings, and he's pitching blanks. I think his ERA is like 0.61 since he's been moved to the pen, and I would leave him right there because it's key to get a guy that can give you that kind of stretch out of the bullpen and save some arms, and they really haven't had a long relief guy in a while. So I would just leave him right there. Second game, Rafaela again, 2 home runs in that game, 1 in the first, 1 in the third. Connor Wong knocked in the winning run in the 8th. They beat the Dodgers 3-2. Peyton Tolley, 6 innings, 2 runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. A strong outing for him. He's been good. He isn't getting the benefit of the W's, but if he can go 6 innings every night with 7 strikeouts, I'd take that too, and only 2 runs. I mean, everybody would take that. So another good outing for him. The third game, Jake Bennett wasn't so great. He only pitched 5 in the third innings. The Red Sox jumped out to a 2-0 lead, but he gave the lead right back in the second inning, gave up 3 runs. He did steady himself and got through the fifth, which is a help. But again, Rafael, again, another home run on top of the third ties the game. Then Abreu homered, and then Yoshida homered. And next thing you know, it's 6-3 Red Sox. I mean, they haven't had that kind of production since, Big Papi and Manny Ramirez with the pop in the bat, the way the home runs have been coming. And I want to say that over the last, 20-something games, they're near the top in home runs in this stretch, which and not trying to force the issue. They were trying to force these guys to be home run hitters. And William Abreu, I think last year he had 22 home runs. He projects as like a 20 to 25 home run guy every year. He's got 20 home runs now. He started off hot with the World Baseball Classic. He was hot for the first 2 months, even though the Red Sox were struggling as a team. He had a little bit of a dip in June, and now he's come on again and he's hot. I think he's batting. If he's not batting over 260, he's pretty close to it now. He was hitting 248 a few games ago. Caleb Durbin, another guy I've talked about, he's hitting like 340 ever since he went up to the North Shore and got his swing fixed. And he's been playing real good defense too. He's been playing, I'll say almost Gold Glove third base over there. He's made some nice plays, and they've needed that. One of the knocks on the Red Sox the last few years is their defense, especially in the infield, was horrendous. They were leading the league in errors for the last, 2 years at least, or near the top. And this year, I want to say they're like in the bottom third for errors this year. And even the other guys that they've had, Monasterio's been filling it at short. He's another guy that's on a hot streak. He's sitting over 300 for the last, month, 3 weeks. They brought up Nick Solgard. He's been playing some second base. They have Anthony Siegler. He's been playing some decent second base. He's had a few hiccups here and there, made a couple errors, but nothing like when I was hopping on David Hamilton and every other flotsam and jetsam motion state job up on the putting over there. The defense is much, much better than it's been. And that's a key factor, between the solid starting pitching, the timely hitting, and solid defense. They put themselves in a good spot, and now all of a sudden, all the experts are saying, they have a chance to go to the World Series. And, I think their chances of making the playoffs is went from like 13% or whatever when they were in last place, like near the bottom. And now it's like 87 or 81. I forget what the number is, but it's in the 80s% for them to make the playoffs. So they've come a long way. And, they've been hot at the right time. And, I got to give credit to the manager and I give credit to the players. And I just think that there's a shift going on with that dude from Driveline left, Kyle Body, who's, not really a baseball guy. He's just an analytics dude. The way the team was built, if you want to build the team with pitching and defense, run prevention or whatever the frick they want to call it, and you don't have guys in the lineup with big pop, you got to change that, launch angle, exit velocity nonsense that you guys were doing earlier. The strikeouts are way down too. I mentioned it last week. Their average for strikeouts is probably like 6 to 8 a game. They've had a hiccup or two here where they've had 12, but overall in a big stretch, it's not 12, 15 like it was before. It's way down. The guys are more disciplined. They're taking more pitches. They're getting more walks. And, when Frank was on last a couple of weeks ago, the excitement is back in the ballpark. When they were in last place, it was dead. It was miserable. There was all kinds of chance for John Henry to sell the team. they had like 40% of the fans were like the road team's fans. It's completely flipped. The enthusiasm and the excitement is back. Uh, and I'm gonna do negative Ned as only I can. Is that they're gonna get everybody all psyched up, and the bottom half is gonna fall out, and they're gonna struggle, and hopefully they can stay above 500 the rest of the way and not revert back to what they were doing before and be in last place. They don't need that right now. You know they need to get some guys back. They need some guys to get healthy for them. And I think Frank mentioned it too. Like when the healthy guys come back, how does it mess with the chemistry? That's been mentioned on sports radio a bunch of times too. What if a guy like Trevor Story comes back and he's in the lineup hitting second or whatever, he's striking out every other time like he usually does. I'm not the only one that has said that. I don't want him back. Put him on the shelf. Leave him there. Dude, we're good. Heal up. Come back in spring training. Try again. I would not want to mess with what they have going with him in particular. They do need Roman Anthony back. They do need more pop, which we'll get to in a second with the trade deadline stuff that they did. And they need to get Garrett Crochet back, and he's starting to throw. And so he said that, if they needed him in the bullpen, he was willing to go there. And so that attitude is, winning attitude, not that crap Bayo did earlier in the year when he was struggling and talking about, I'm a starter, I don't want to hear any more of that talk, blah, blah. They sent him to Worcester, rightfully so, long overdue. Listen, he's acted more professional. He's said the right things. He's been a key contributor for them. Everybody needs to be doing that and rowing in the same direction. And I think I mentioned it earlier in the year. It felt like the 25 cab thing from the 70s and 80s that they had, and they've become more unified, more cohesive. They have momentum. All the things we talk about when you talk about teams that win. And so, I don't want to get too far ahead because I always fear the worst. But it's been enjoyable to watch them again. And they were just so dreadful before. They were so unlikable. They've definitely flipped that around. And hopefully they can keep it going so nobody, my summer won't get ruined. Nobody wants their summer ruined. So let's see if they can keep it rolling. Let's get to the trade deadline moves that they made. After sweeping the Dodgers, again, putting themselves in a good spot. Let's recap what they did. So a week before that, they traded Connolly early for Curtis Mead. He's a infielder. He was playing third base for the team he was on, but he was playing second base for the Red Sox in his first game. Got hit by a pitch, and he's out with a fracture in his wrist. No surgery needed, but there's no timetable for his return. That type of injury takes a good 6 to 8 weeks to come back from. I would be surprised if he plays again, even though they could use his pop in the lineup. If he's out for 8 weeks, he's got to get a rehab stint. He's got to get his timing back. And at the time he comes back, if you're talking 6 weeks, you're talking mid-September. And if you're talking 8 weeks, it's the end of September, maybe the playoffs. I don't even know if I would bother if it's that late. If you're still winning or you're in the playoffs, I wouldn't even bother. I think it's unfortunate, but at least they tried to do something. I'm not doing cartwheels over it. I think that they went the cheap route because the guy's only making $750,000 or whatever it is. It's not like they spent money and got like a real bat, but they did try to improve the lineup, and so I give them an ounce of credit for that. A lot of rumors going around about them being rumored in trades for shortstop upgrade. They did call the Cincinnati Reds about Ellie De La Cruz, and the package probably wasn't significant enough to get him here. I don't know what it would have took, but I can tell you that if it was Peyton Tolley, Roman Anthony, and any of the Franklin Arias, the guy from Worcester that just got brought up, their number one if it was those three guys, I wouldn't have done that. I think it's too much. And listen, De La Cruz is a good player. He's an exciting player. He's a home run guy. But I just feel like, now you lose pitching. Now you lose Roman Anthony, who's supposed to be projected as a good guy. Your number one prospect shortstop is gone. If I'm trading Franklin Arias, it's got to be for something better. So I'm not upset that they didn't get him. And some of the other guys that they could have had that they didn't get. Luis Arias, I think, went to Philly. He's a second baseman, I believe. He was hitting 328. He's a guy I would have loved to have at second base. Again, depends on what you have to give up. But they couldn't find the infield help they needed. And there was a rumor going around last week we talked about with the Colorado catcher who has 31 homers. They ended up not getting him. Actually, I don't even think he got traded. And so the move that the Red Sox did make was they got Adley Rutschman, who was a catcher from Baltimore. He's an all-star catcher. He's a 3-time all-star. I want to say he was an all-star this year. He's out right now with a wrist injury. He has inflammation in his wrist. Again, no exact timetable for his return, but it's expected he'll be back in a couple of weeks. And they gave up a lot to get him. They gave up Carlos Narvaez, who was on the Major League roster, top pitching prospect, Anthony Iacin, the Red Sox number 2 prospect, Kyle Witherspoon, who was number 4. He's a pitcher too. And they gave up outfield prospect Andy Azonka. He's number 5. They also gave up a player to be named later. They also got back Jake Rogers in the deal. I think he's hitting 160 something or whatever. They definitely needed a backup for losing Narvaez. And there's a bunch of mixed emotions about whether they gave up too much. Most of the sports guys don't like the deal. They feel they gave up too much. It was too much of a haul. I'm okay with it. I'm not doing cartwheels over it. I think that, as far as defense goes, the guy's like one of the top 2 or 3 catches in the league defensively, which is a huge plus. His bat, he has a history of having 20 homers and 80 RBI. I think this year he's got 9 homers and 50 RBI or something like that. I mean, he was probably on a trajectory to do similar, 18, 20 homers, 70, 80 RBI. That's pretty good for a catcher. Again, he's an all-star. He's left-handed. He should fit in Fenway. And he takes a lot of walks, so he's got a good eye at the plate. That's much needed. He's not a 180 strikeout guy, from what I heard. So, listen, I think that when we talk about giving out the grades, it's probably like C+, B- move. You get it's unfortunate that he's hurt, but it is an upgrade. I mean, the Red Sox had one of the worst catchers tandems in the league. I mean, Narvaez was only hitting like 160 with like 3 homers. Now Connor Wong is hitting 255-ish. He's only got 2 homers though. He has hit better. He started off really bad. I think he was hitting like 130. So he's upticked a little bit, but he's not a real answer for a catcher. Defensively, he's good. He's been a little above average. And one of the things that was a concern with moving or adding Rutschman is, how the catchers mesh with the pitchers, the success that they've had. And it has been a concern. But, it sounds like Rutschman is going to use his time while he's not in the lineup to get familiar with the guys on the pitching staff and figure out, what they like, what they don't like. And I'm sure that they'll have all kinds of analytics. They have video. They have all kinds of stuff that they can do. So I'm sure that he'll use the time wisely to, get to know those guys, and hopefully he'll be a great addition to what they have going on. They did make a couple other moves. In this trade, though, there was an executive that said it's the most ridiculous trade he's seen in 30 years. Now, listen, you can say that, but a lot of times the prospects are wicked hyped up. Nobody knows if these guys, he's number, they have number 2, number 4, number 5 prospects, but a lot of times they don't pan out and they don't make major league rosters and they don't do squat. And I'm drawing blanks on the guys that they've just recently, Moen and Carter. He was like a shortstop guy. He's supposed to be coming up. They traded him away. Everybody was, upset, pissing and moaning. He hasn't done squat. So, I think that when you can add a bona fide all-star catcher, you have to make a move. They gave up a lot, but I also think that Breslow is trying to save his job. Of course, now that they're winning and, now that they're in a playoff spot, when the sports radio guys earlier wanted him canned like I did, now they're like, oh, I don't think he was trying to save his job. I don't think he was doing it. Yes, he is, because he knows he's on the hot seat. I think that, anytime you're on the hot seat like this, that he has been when they were in last place, and they built the roster the way they did, him in particular, he knows his rear end is on the line, and he's tried to fix it. I think he's done a decent job of rectifying what was wrong. I applaud him for being aggressive this deadline. They actually made it like a legit move. Not exactly the move we wanted. Again, we wanted a 30 home run guy, but he's an all-star major league guy, and those guys don't grow on trees, and they filled a position of need, and not the crap they were doing before. One toe in, one toe out. They actually did something legit, so I'll give him a half an ounce of credit. But if anybody thinks he's not trying to save his job, he definitely is. And I think if they make the playoffs, despite me wanting him gone, if they make the playoffs, I think his job is saved, at least for one more year. I don't know if they'll give him another 3 or 4 year contract. I don't know what the deal is with that, but suffice to say, he's saving his own butt. He also made 2 more moves. He traded away Marcelo Maya to San Francisco for Eric Miller. He's a reliever. He's a left-handed reliever. He was 2-0 with a 2.76 ERA. He came in a couple nights ago. He struck out the only batter that he faced. He provides depth. There was some scuttlebutt about talking about using him as an opener. I don't know about that. I don't know what the plan is, but he's like a 6th, 7th inning kind of guy. It's a good move. Marcelo Maya, case in point, number 1 prospect. At one time, he was number 4 overall pick in the draft. He was drafted. He hasn't done squat here. There's all kinds of scuttlebutt about him. His attitude and his professionalism, and the going out partying and whatnot, and this looks like a dump, and he needs to change the scenery. I don't think he was going to do anything here anyway. I'm not upset by the move at all. They could have put him in Worcester, but they did help the bullpen. You don't want to wear those guys out because they're going to be needed down the stretch. So I like that move. Again, I would give that move probably like a B minus. And they also sent minor league right-hander Tyler Uberstein to Atlanta for outfielder Eli White. I don't know anything about either one of those guys. They just look like Ocean State job lot bums to me. Eli White, though, has position flexibility. He's listed as an outfielder, but He has played second and short, so I guess in a pinch he could play second base if they needed it. Uh, just in case, I guess Roman Anthony doesn't come back, they could put him in the outfield if they need to. One of the things I heard Breslow saying is that at some point, they got to give Duran, Rafaela, and Abreu a breather. They're not going to be able to play every single game down the stretch, especially with the heat like this. The heat's back on. It's 90 with a 95 heat index, blah blah, whatever. You don't want these guys getting worn down. So, listen, overall, I think that Breslow did a decent job this year at the trade deadline, much better than the crap he did before. And we'll see how it goes. I've babbled on enough about the Red Sox. Let's watch the time. Let's talk about Patriots training camp. All kinds of news going on there now. We will start with, first of all, this happens every year. It's August, and it's already football season. The Hall of Fame game is tonight, which I know nobody cares about because I don't usually watch it anymore. I used to, but that game is going on now. And it's Arizona versus Carolina. This is the kickoff to the season, and the Hall of Fame ceremony, I believe, is Saturday. So here we are again. I can't believe the season's starting. And it feels like football just ended, and I feel like we just shoveled 30 inches of snow, and I'm not ready for this. But we're going to slog through it. So we'll start with Patriots training camp notes. We'll start with the injured players or the injuries. Carlton Davis still out injured. Still no timetable for a return for him. That's a hindrance for them. He's the number 2 cornerback on the team. There's a pretty big drop off after him if he misses significant time. But again, much like Christian Campbell last year, not Christian Campbell, Christian Gonzalez, sorry. Christian Campbell, Red Sox. Christian Gonzalez, if he's hurt and he misses the first 4 weeks, I'm not going to be upset by it because he's more important later in the year. They'll muddle through the first 4 weeks or whatever of the season without him. But it's been a big loss. He hasn't been there, and that's a problem. Harold Landry, same thing. He hasn't been there either at all. That's a bigger loss, in my opinion. He's an edge rusher, and they need all the air. I hope they can get there. Given that they don't have a premier guy on the edge, which everybody's been hopping about. So those are concerning. Romeo Doubs was out today, at wide receiver. Excuse me. I don't have an update on what was wrong with him. I don't have an update on what was wrong with him. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Starting left tackle Will Campbell did not participate in any competitive periods on Thursday. He was wearing a Rob Gronkowski type arm brace on his left arm that he debuted yesterday in the walkthrough. So I'm not sure what's going on there. That's not a good sign. Hopefully it's like a strain, like a muscle strain or something like that. Not like if it's fractured or whatever and he's trying to play through it, that's kind of dumb. I would think they would cast that in any case. So hopefully it's nothing major. Hopefully it's just something stupid. But worth noting is that in his place during the 11-on-11, Marcus Bryant replaced him. He is a second-year guy from last year, and he was on the first team unit. And Caleb Lomu, who's been working with the second unit, or he was working with the first unit on the right side with Morgan Moses out getting rest, went back in today at right tackle with the second unit. And so he's kind of stuck on the right side there. I don't know what the plan is for putting him at left tackle. Looks like because they put Marcus Bryant at left tackle in place of Will Campbell, the third string guy that got elevated behind Marcus Bryant was Demetrius Crownover to back up left tackle. I don't remember if he's a draft pick now. I don't have that information in front of me, but um, you know, it's training camp. They got to be cautious with these guys. They have upcoming uh, joint practices coming up starting next week, I think. No, if it's not next week, that's the week after. I have that information down here. Yeah, it's next week. We'll get to that in a minute. Defensive line news: Gabe Yakas, who signed late, he only signed last week, has been working out with the team. He's done pretty good so far. He's actually worked with the first team defense on Thursday, and he continued to ramp up following off-season knee procedure. There's a note here I read: his size and power stood out. He won multiple times with speed on Thursday, working against the second unit. So, that's kind of encouraging. I doubt that they would throw him on the first unit, only being in practice for like a week, but that's good. The first came when he went around low move, register pressure, in a likely holding penalty, and then he beat Crown over in a 2-minute drill to help force an interception. So, listen, it's still early in training camp. There's a guy that they took for a reason as a edge guy, and I'm not saying he's going to be, the second coming of Matt Judon or anybody like that, but anything they can get out of him and get him up to speed, again, is huge for them. So I'm curious to see how it's going. Quintavious Hutchins, I want to say he was a draft pick last year. Since he continues to flash along the edge, he was in the backfield for a potential sack. So, again, when it's practice, it's really difficult to really read what these guys are going to do because, it's not real competition. But they are in pads and they are going one-on-one with each other. And so, it's important to win those matchups. And on both sides of the ball, both the offense and the defense have to. Now, one of the things I heard too, running back wise, last night's sports show that I watch, the reporters down there are not fans of the running game. They've complained about the guys getting stopped multiple times, and this is the same. This is the same thing I saw. One of the training camps that I went to, I want to say it was 2022, where the running backs could not get through the holes. It looked abysmal. It looked awful. And, then the season starts and they're breaking off 20-yard runs. So I really think it's difficult to gain any insight. I feel like every year it's the same thing. The defense is always ahead of the offense. The offensive line has all new guys on it. They have to mesh. They have to gel. You have new guys on offense now. You have a new fullback. You have a new running back they drafted or they signed or whoever it is. I mean, look, they got new guys. They have to get in sync with each other. You don't just snap your fingers and it instantaneously clicks. So I'm not as concerned about the running game now. We start week 1, week 2, and, they're trying to run the ball 20 times and they're getting, 30 yards in the games. That's going to be a different conversation. And I fully expect that they're going to have a hard time running the ball against the Seahawks in week 1, regardless of the training camp issues that the reporters are complaining about. Seattle's defense is very good. So I would expect them to struggle. But I just think it's too early until we start seeing some preseason action and start seeing them in the games. I'm looking forward to seeing how they utilize the fullback like they used to when they had James Devlin in the backfield. I think that's going to be much better for them than trying to bring these offensive linemen in they used to do. I'm drawing a blank on his name, number 95, that left. Had the contract issue. They wouldn't pay him. He left. He went somewhere else. Seeing those guys come in as the fullback, they know you're going to run the ball when you do that. And I know that typically when you bring the fullback in, they kind of know you're going to run the ball, but they don't necessarily run it the whole time when the fullback is in there because the fullback can go out for a swing pass, so they have options there. So there's that, and I'm looking forward to the fullback, and hopefully he stays healthy all year, to opening up holes for these guys because as we've seen with Stevenson, when he is good and he can hold on to the ball and break tackles, he's huge. He was huge for them last year in the second half after I wanted his bags packed. He needs to do that again. Trevion Henderson, the home run hitter, have that guy, the fullback, make a big block and have him bust through. He slowed down in the second half. There was too many runs where he was getting stuck and he wasn't busting through like he was earlier. But, I'm excited to see what this is going to look like. And I just think it's I said a few years ago at the training camp, like it was hideous. Offensive line was bad. The running backs were bad. They couldn't run the ball, looked bad. You're thinking that that's what it's going to look like. I would use a word of caution. And I know that, they're going by what they see today. So it's fine. But I wouldn't throw them to the wolves just yet. Remains to be seen what they're doing. Wide receivers, after starting off like a house of fire, Keyshawn Boutte seems to have slowed down a tad. There's been some of the other receivers are getting more work than him for whatever reason. I'm not sure. But according to one of the sports reporters that was on the show yesterday, as far as him being traded, there's not much of a market for him right now. They may get a 5th or 6th round pick, which I'm not in favor of. I'm not in favor of trading him. Many people don't want to trade him. I don't want to trade him. If AJ Brown goes down, at least you still have him. I mentioned it last week. The rapport that he has with Drake May already on the deep balls. I would prefer to keep him. Now he requested a trade, so I think that they will at some point try to accommodate him. As other teams, as we go further along between training camp and the exhibition season, when other teams start, having their receivers go down, they will need a wide receiver. That would be the time for Keyshawn Boutte to get traded. If they do so, again, I'm not a fan of that, so I don't want it. But it's not my choice, right? We want them to keep as many guys as they can. Let's have some A.J. Brown discussion. A couple of days ago, he dislocated his finger. The medical staff popped it back in. He didn't really miss any time. He went back and caught a couple of touchdown passes from Drake May, so that's encouraging. I guess he and Christian Gonzalez got into it today in practice. There was some trash talk, and it was to a point where they almost needed to be separated after a pass breakup in the end zone. Then it got ratcheted up even more when Gonzalez broke up a pass in the 2-on-2 drills. He was barking at Brown, and Brown went back at him. Phil Perry from NBC Sports Boston said, "It's been a long time. We're an all-pro corner and an all-pro wide receiver going at each other in training camp. It's been fun to watch." Listen, this is what we wanted A.J. Brown for. I think that, Gonzalez, I'm paraphrasing what he said. He kind of poo-pooed the thing and said, hey, look, it happens. We're both trying to make each other better. I don't think there's any, fisticuffs or ill will. This frustration is going to come out. You're going to trash talk. That's what all pro players do. I'm fine with it. I think, it's a good sign. It's good to see. You have your top two guys going at each other, and listen, it's good for them because it'll be good for them when they have the joint practices and when they start the games. And if you listen to the old Patriots and Ty Law and those kind of guys talk about how they used to chirp at Tom Brady and Tom Brady would chirp at them, and they would go back and forth, and how they would try to outdo each other. It's competition, and they knew that it was going to make them better. And this is kind of the same thing. So I'm happy to see it too. Looks like Mac Hollins and Demario Douglas caught touchdowns from Drake May in red zone work. That's encouraging. One of the other guys from Sports Radio who was at training camp said that Demario Douglas has looked better this training camp than he did last year. As a slot guy. 2-on-2 goal line work. Hunter Henry and Eli Reardon both had multiple wins, while Kyle Tucker smoked Kevin Byard on a slant. Again, it's practice. It's a 2-on-2 drill, but encouraging that those guys are beating their guys. Eli Reardon, he's the rookie tight end they drafted. And the last bit of news before we move on. Former Patriots Stephon Diggs signed a 1-year deal with the Redskins with Washington Redskins. I'm still going to call them the Redskins. I'm not going to call them the Commanders. Sorry, I don't care what anybody says. Worth up to $12 million. So he lands in a place where they needed a number 2 wide receiver. It's a good fit for him. I don't think bringing him back would have worked here. You only got one football, and you already have to get rid of Kayshon Boutte. I wouldn't see the value in doing that. So good luck to him. Watch the time before I overrun. Let's talk about Jaylen Brown and his comments on the Celtics at his introductory training camp. Wait, real quick, let me circle back. Joint practices for the Patriots Tuesday, August 11th against the Indianapolis Colts, and then they have their first exhibition game next Thursday. And then next Wednesday, the 19th, it's joint practice with the Eagles. And they have another game that week. And then their third joint practice the next day with Philly is so they have joint practices with Philly on the 19th and 20th. And I think they play Friday night that week. And then the following week is another preseason game. And that's it for the preseason. So those joint practices will be interesting over the next 2 weeks. Okay, on to the Jaylen Brown news real quick. He had his press conference today. Just to recap real quickly, what led to his being traded. A lot of scuttlebutt about what he said about this being his favorite season. A lot of people aren't happy about that. I think also, his salary, they weren't going to give him the 2-year extension for the $71 million a year over the next 2 years. At the end of his current contract, that played into it too. FS1's Colin Coward made some comments that he heard that Jaylen Brown's always got to be the smartest guy in the room. And then, Jaylen Brown fired back at him. I'm not going to read those comments because there's profanity in there. So there's some of this going on between Jaylen Brown and the media. And then there was Jason Tatum last week, who was speaking at a summer camp hosted by his foundation, said that, he doesn't want to be the smartest person in the room. He wants to learn from somebody else. That was seen as him taking a shot at Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown came out on some kind of stream a couple days ago or a couple days after that and said, my favorite thing to do is learn. I love learning. I love the opportunity to learn. I get to learn from the best, LeBron, because he signed with Philly. And there's a whole bunch of that nonsense going on. And then, so at the press conference, he said he was disappointed with the Celtics process and communication because at the beginning it was good and then it died off. He said that when he first got traded, he threw his phone across the room. I don't blame him, and I don't mean to laugh, but I probably would have done the same thing if I wasn't happy with where I was going. Or the fact that I was traded at all. So I don't blame him. But he said he has chosen to move on past any resentments or bad blood with the Celtics. He says, I'm going to focus on what I focus on. It got to a threshold this offseason that was a little bit higher than it's been in the past where people attack my character. Some even went as far as to say I had a disease. As far as fitting in with Philly, he said, look, there's a lot of guys with talent and egos, but to win, you have to sacrifice. You have to be able to have trust and communicate. I want to come in transparent. I want to come in with an agenda on my agenda on the table. This is what I'm here to do. It's what I want to do, and I want to win, and we can kind of figure it out. And so, being the first to the gym, being in the film room, looking forward to learning from LeBron, everything he's doing during his career on and off the floor. And listen, he's 100% spot on. Uh, he knows what it takes to win. He knows what it takes to sacrifice already, because in 2024, when they won the championship, he sacrificed and he won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and the Finals MVP. And still, when Tatum came back, he had to kind of take a back seat a little bit. I think, for all the talk we had about him wanting to be the number one guy somewhere else, I think that at least for this year and maybe even next year, when LeBron is there, he'll do the right thing and he'll sacrifice and, try to help them win. And it won't be as much about him these 2 years. After that, who knows? But, if you want to talk about a guy that's been, I would say, a consummate professional, I think that, all the, outside the podcasts and the comments and the crap, whatever. But on the court, he's been professional. He's been good. He had a good year this year. He's had good seasons. He's stepped up when they needed it. And I have no doubt he'll do the same thing here. He's not going to get 28 points a game. They have other guys that can score, but he can get 18, 20 points a game and contribute and still be the same guy. So, more of his comments about moving on from the Celtics. He said maybe one day, you share the details of how everything transpired and all the moving parts that took place. A lot of speculation, but no need to chime in. I'm focused on what I have in front of me. So listen, he's not going to say anything now. And that I'm sure, I'm sure at some point when he's done playing or whatever, there'll be a book or a podcast or something on Netflix or whatever, because that's how these guys all do it now. They're all going to do something, and it'll all come out, and he'll have his say, just like everybody else does. And he'll do the behind the scenes, pissed off, blah blah, whatever. And that's just the way they do it now. That's just what it is. Asked about his relationship with Tatum, he said, "We won a championship, so anybody who win a championship, you would think that that's a brotherhood or a lifelong legacy would entail. There's ups and downs in any relationship for sure, but on my end, there's nothing but respect. Besides when he plays the Sixers, I hope he does well. Other than that, everything for me is just based in respect. So listen, he's going to say the right things here, even if he, feels a certain way. And both guys are saying the right thing. Listen, I think that we've covered this a number of times already. And, there's all kinds of scuttlebutt about whether those guys got along on off the court at all. But they had to play together. They made it work. They won a championship. They went to most, playoffs on how many times in a row. And so, I just say this about every team and even your workplace. You don't have to like everybody. Everybody doesn't like everybody. There's always somebody that doesn't like somebody, no matter whether the team has 55 guys on it or 10 guys. It's not kumbaya for everybody all the time. And especially when you're talking about professional athletes, when they have big egos and they're making $40 million a year or $70 million a year or whatever it is, they're not all going to get along. They're not all going to sing kumbaya. They're going to do what they got to do professionally. Off the court, they go their separate ways. It's fine. It's just the way it is. And I don't really read too much more now into, Tatum and Brown, whether they like each other or not. I mean, it's irrelevant. Jaylen Brown might not like half the Sixers when he gets there. They might not like him. They might come out and say all the right things behind closed doors. They might say something different. In the end, it doesn't really matter. Them guys are making $1 gazillion, and I don't think that they. I don't think they spend as much time on it as we do. Nonetheless, let's move on real quick. I got to watch the time here. We do have some Bruins contract news I want to share, courtesy of my buddy Danny, who brought this to my attention. And I wasn't really paying attention to this with all these signings these guys are doing. if you go back and look at David Pasternak's contract when he signed, 8 years, $90 million was probably one of the top contracts. I'll say top 10 at the time he signed it. Since then, he has not only been overtaken, but we have our first $20 million a year guy. And I have this broken down by what their salary cap hit is and what their actual contract is. So I have I only went with the list. There's like a top 50 list. I only went as far as where Pastrnak fits, and I stopped the list there because I don't need to go any further. But Leo Clarkson from the Ducks signed a contract. And he's going to make $20.8 million a year. He's 21 years old. He's only played 2 seasons. This year he had 29 goals, 38 assists, 67 points in 70 games. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay, he's overpaid. How can he be paid that much more than Connor McDavid, who's like the best player in the league? Now, I understand that already because McDavid took a hometown discount and he's making $12.5 million because he wants the Oilers to win. But his contract will definitely be over $20 million next go around after this contract expires. I think he's got 1 year left now. But Leo Carlson, $20 million a year. Kirill Kaprizov with the Wild, $19 million. Jack Eichel, $17 million. Connor Bedard, Blackhawks, $17 million. Leon Draisaitl, $16 million. I'm going to stop there and get to where Pastrnak is. Pastrnak is 22nd in actual salary, $11.5 million. That is insane to me. He was 8th in scoring with 100 points. He was one of only 8 guys to get 100 points, and he's 22nd on the list now. And he's signed through 2031. So he's going to fall further down this list in the next 4 years as we go 4 or 5 years as we go along. He might be 40th in 4 years the way we're going. This is just insane to me. As far as what his salary cap hit is, his salary cap hit is 17th. So, and that doesn't include the San Jose Sharks signing Macklin Celebrini to a 5-year, $94 million deal, which kicks in next year, and he's going to get $18.8 million. He's going to be the second highest paid player. Second highest salary cap hit. He'll be third for salary next year. And then after this season, so McDavid's salary is actually 14.25. I think his salary cap hits like 12.5. Yeah. So after this year, he's got to get 21 or 22. He's the best player in the league. I don't see how you don't pay him. And so, I hope like hell David Pastrnak doesn't turn around after another 100-point season and go to the Bruins and be like, I want to renegotiate my deal. I don't like this. I'm not getting paid enough. I don't think he's like that. But it just goes to show you how crazy the money's getting. And I understand the salary cap's going up, but it's only going up like $3 or $4 million a year. It's not going up $8 million a year. Like I don't get the salaries. I don't get the contracts. The young guys are getting paid too soon. Macklin Celebrini, now listen, I'll give him this. He's only 19 years old. He had 115 points. He got 45 goals. He's 19 years old. He was 4th in scoring overall. He's a stud and a half. So I could see paying him. I get that. That I get. But just a quick note there on the contracts because those things are getting out of hand. All right, let's move along. I'm already overrun. Let's move along to the poll questions. Unfortunately for me, I don't have those questions in front of me. I kind of generally know what they are off the top of my head. One of them was the Adley Rushman trade. What grade would you give it? And we had, A to A minus, B to B minus, C to C minus, or C plus, C minus to C plus. and D minus to D plus. We had overwhelming majority of C minus to C plus. Most people thought it was just an average trade. So not really a surprise there. One of the other ones was whether or not we liked the trade. I think we had probably like a 50-50 split on whether it was a good trade or not. I'm drawing a blank on the last question. I apologize. It's not coming to me. I forgot to make note of these this week. All right, weekly predictions. Let's move on to those. I have that. Give me a half a second here now. Right here, I said the Red Sox would trade for a shortstop bat. Wrong. They did not get the shortstop bat that they were looking for. I said the Red Sox would trade Jaylen Brown. Wrong. He did not get traded. I thought for sure he was going to be a goner. I thought the Patriots would sign Gonzalez to his deal he's looking for. Wrong. Strike three. I'm out. So now let's move along to this week's predictions. This week's predictions. I'll start with the Red Sox. I think they're going to go 4-3 this week. I think they're going to come back to earth just a little bit. They're playing the A's at home this weekend after this game, and then they have to go to Toronto for 4. And even though they beat Toronto swept them in the last series or whatever they did, I'm not sold on them going up there and getting another sweep. Toronto did make some moves. They sold off some pieces because I don't think they think they're going to make the playoffs this year after going to the World Series last year, but they're still a tough opponent for the Red Sox, so I'm going with that. I say Keyshawn Boutte gets traded this week. If his reps are getting dialed back and they have a joint practice this week and he doesn't make an impact, I have a funny feeling he's going to be gone. So there's 2. Let's see. Back to the Red Sox. Man, I hate to do this. Injury coming. I don't know who, but they always seem to have bad luck at the wrong time. This is going to be bad luck at the wrong time. I'm hoping it's not Wilson Contreras. He got beamed in the head the other day. He went in the concussion protocol. He came back. He played, but now he's out today. And yesterday he tried to so he came back. He played. He left last night's game with illness, dizziness and so forth, and is not playing today. And my hope is that it's not him, but knowing the luck that we have, it probably will be. And if he's out for a week or 2, that's going to be a major loss. So if I'm wrong about that prediction, then I won't be upset. Trust me. That being said, I'm going to stop there. That's the end of the show. Want to thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for voting in the polls. Thanks for the commentary. Be sure to catch us on our YouTube channel. And we'll be back next week.